Hey everyone, welcome to Whole Artist Mastery. I'm Marianne Mitchell. In this video today, we're going to be discussing phase 2 in the process of making abstract art called critical analysis. So critical analysis is when you come out of phase 1, which is reckless abandon, where you've checked your mind at the door, you've checked your thinking at the door, and now you need to bring your critical thinking skills back into the studio and look at what you have. So in my previous video on this subject, I was working in oil pastels. So in this video, I'm going to be working in a different medium, which is oil paint. This is the painting that we're going to be discussing today regarding critical analysis. It's just barely out of reckless abandon, that phase where I was making random decisions without having any sort of thought about what to do compositionally or being guided by a particular source of inspiration or sense of place. Even though it to some degree presents as a painting that has had some thinking put into it, I'm looking at it now, having really worked on it about 3 months ago, so it's been dormant since then, with a fresh, critical, analytical eye. And so what does that mean? That means that I'm looking at the painting, and I invite you to look at it with me, and trying to discern or ascertain some sort of point of interest, either compositionally or color-wise or line-wise or emotionally. You know, how does it make me feel? And so before I answer that question, I'm going to look at it in all directions and then go back into it in the direction that I feel most compelled by. The reason why I emphasize the way I feel is that often we're around other artists who are saying, oh, I really like it that way. Oh, I really like the way it is. And so you're influenced by what everybody else thinks. You're the artist. You get to make that decision. You have to go back in a way that's authentically connecting to you, without the shoulds, oh, I should listen to them, or oh, maybe they're right and I'm wrong. You know, because if you go back in based on what other people are saying to you without really knowing that you fully agree, then you're going to lose any sort of emotional connection from your own heart to the piece. And that's when paintings become compositionally stilted or contrived looking. So, I'm looking at it this way. I'm going to turn it one more way. Get it this way. So far, I'm less intrigued. And look at it this way. And I'm still less intrigued. So for me, I think the most interesting way to go back into it is this way. Why is that? Well, because I'm interested in kind of the relationship between above ground and the underground, and what happens above and what happens below, which to me, it connects to my inner core, my inner sort of very precious self as it relates to the world around me. So as I'm looking at this, I'm beginning to feel like, okay, so this could be representative of my inner heart, my inner essence, you know, that very quiet, precious space inside you that only you know, that only I know for myself. And I find that an interesting dichotomy to express that place in a painting as it's surrounded by the great mystery or you know, muted colors or the great macro space that is unable to tap into that very special place inside me. The reason I'm telling you all this is that this is how I'm able to critically analyze what to do with this composition, because I'm trying to figure out, well, what's connecting to me? What do I find compelling? And then how does that inform where I go with this piece? So if I decide, well, so let's throw the word if out. I am deciding that this is going to be that very special inner place, and this is going to be the surrounding world, almost like this is the womb, you know, and this is the world outside of the womb. So it's already sort of doing that, but I want to build on that. So then the next question I have to ask myself is, what do I want to do with this line? Do I want to keep it as a organizing force between the top and the bottom? Do I want there to be a top and the bottom, or do I want that to go away and have this kind of floating? The first thing I'm going to do is cover this part with a whitish kind of bluish gray. So a lighter color, a light gray. So I'm going to start with my white here. And when you're working with a lighter color, you always want to start with white and add the color to the white. If you're making a darker gray, you want to start with the colors and then add the white. So I have some colors left from another day of painting, and I'm going to add some of this into the white. And this, I'm choosing this color because of my need to kind of make this this veiled lack of clarity surrounding around the jewel-like inner precious bright spot that lives within inside each of us. Okay, so I'm going to pull out some. My feeling is telling me I need to make this kind of a teal, turquoisey blue. That's manganese blue, so I'm going to pull out some teal as well. Maybe just a little bit. Always start with a little bit of paint. You can always add more depending on how the color continues to grow. I think this is still a little too light. So rather than making a huge pile of a color that I'm not sure about, I'm going to take half of it away, and I'll probably add some of that back in. I'm going to take some more teal, maybe a little manganese, add it to this color here. If you're interested in understanding how to mix clear and complex or more muted colors, I invite you to go look at some of the other videos that are focused on color mixing. And so in order to diffuse the bluish color here, I'm going to come in with a little bit of this muddy color over here. It's warmer than what I have, so when you mix warm and cool together, you get a more complex or muted or muddy color. Now I'm going to mix a little bit of the solvent-free Gamblin gel for oil paint into this, because it's pretty thick and it's not going to spread too easily. So I'm going to put in not a lot, just a little bit here. And now it's more spreadable. And before I apply it, I'm going to put some on my palette knife and hold it up here. And it feels too light. It feels too cool, a little too chalky. So I'm going to take half of it away and add some more of this color to it. And maybe it needs a little tiny bit of Quin Red, just to give it, mute the cobalt teal, but without adding more white to the cobalt teal. See how that muted it just a little bit? And I'm going to hold this up and say, is this what I want? It feels a little too blue, so I'm going to add more Quin Red. And it looks to me like I'm moving back towards purple again, which is what's already there. And so that's okay with me, because I'm really just following what I feel as opposed to what I'm thinking it has to be. So I think that's it. I'm going to need just a little more gel so it will spread across. And to do this, I am going to use my larger brush here, which is a 6100 series Princeton flat brush number 20. It's a synthetic soft bristle brush. So I'm going to pick up the paint here and just start to go into it like this. Then I'm going to take my, I'm just organizing things a little bit here, what I call my ruined filbert. And it's ruined so I can do this with it and kind of push the paint around. It's very thin, so I obviously need a lot more paint. So I'm going to move this so you all can see what I'm doing. I'm going to take all of this paint here and add a lot more color to it. And so that I get approximately the same color. I have a lot more paint. So you see how I used just a little bit of paint to make the color that I wanted? And now I can make a much bigger batch of it because I know what the ingredients are with the colors. Okay. So I need a little more gel in there. Mix it very carefully. There we are. So it's fully mixed. And I'm going to come in with my, let's see, maybe I'll try using the squeegee, which is a silicone spatula type tool, and just rub it in like this. Okay, then I'm going to come in with my ruined filbert and push the paint around like this. You have to be willing to just kind of let it be ugly for a while and go on an investigation here to see what's going to ultimately strike my fancy here. So before I finish that, I'm going to actually turn it upside down and work on this part here. And I think I want that to be, I'm going to use a little cobalt blue with this. So it's going to be a darker color. It's already kind of blue. I'm going to take this and add it in. That might be a little too blue, so if I want to cut the blue down, I'm going to add a little orange, which is the opposite of blue. So if you want to gray out a color, you add the opposite color to it. And so I'm going to put this on and we'll see what it looks like. I'm going to pull it across this line here so that that line doesn't keep me from exploring. In other words, so that I don't get boxed in by that line. Okay. Let's turn it around and take a look at it. it's a little more intriguing to me at this point. I invite you to look at it and see what you think. So I hope this was helpful in getting you going in your thinking process, your critical analysis of how you look at a painting at a stage like this, and where you go in terms of compositional decisions based on how you're feeling about the piece or what you're thinking about the piece. And this is phase 2. I invite you to go to the website to look at how phase 2 works with phase 1 and phase 3 and phase 4 in the process of making whole art. Go to the philosophy page on the Whole Artist Mastery website, and it really goes into detail of different phrases that match each phrase and outlines how this all comes together to create work that resonates with you on a level that is indescribable, really. And we all know what that's like when we see a painting that we're looking at and it's indescribable. It's touching you on a level that is really out of your ability to explain why. So if you like this video, I invite you to press like and subscribe to the Whole Artist Mastery YouTube channel. And I'll catch you next time. Thanks very much for watching.